And we're going to be kind of moving on a little bit to another area of this. And in the words, I guess, of Porky Pig, we're going to talk about the spoliation. Talk to us, Rob. This is a word I had not heard before. Spoliation.
Spoliation is often confused with the word spoiling. And really, that's the way I try to teach its definition. Spoliation of evidence refers to the destruction of evidence so that the other side, the side that you want money from or don't want to give money to, is adversely affected. In the case of insurance claims, spoliation of evidence is a big deal, and I want to dispel some of the myths that are out there with regard to how to prevent the destruction of evidence. Very often, losses will occur in storm catastrophes. And in that circumstance, you have a duty to mitigate the damages to your property. So in that circumstance, initial basic construction, cover-up construction, or boarding up, or nailing up, or covering, or tarping the roofs, those sorts of things are encouraged under public policy.
So you have to do that to prevent more water from coming in, more property damage to happen. You do what's necessary to prevent more damage.
Right, but what you're not to do is to have a contractor come the next day, have them conduct the complete repair on the property, and then go to the insurer and say, we had this loss last week, it's totally repaired now, it cost us $10,000, please write us a check. Because in that circumstance, they're going to say, we were not able to evaluate this claim, and we were not able to decide if it was covered, and we're sorry, we're not likely to pay you.
Now, what's interesting when you talk about this could be having that evidence there is important because what you want to prevent is I guess, an unscrupulous contractor from trying to present that more needed to be done than was really shown by evidence there. And sometimes they will come to a homeowner and say, oh, let us sign the contract. Hey, let us get involved here. And they want to quickly clean up and take everything out.
Yeah, put the brakes on in that circumstance. Because what you need to do is make sure, number one, you mitigate the losses. That's cover up and protect the property. Notify the insurer immediately through your agent or directly to the insurer. And then let them have an opportunity to inspect the home. What I constantly have is potential new clients come to me and they say, well, Rob, I took photographs of everything, and now they're complaining that I destroyed the evidence. And there's this belief that a photograph of damage is the same as giving the opposing side an opportunity to inspect.
Well, I would think
and it's not. You're saying pictures are not good enough.
Very rarely.
I would take a look at a photograph and say that would be descriptive. What is the? I'm interested in knowing what is the insurance company's reasoning that a photo is not enough evidence.
Well, obviously photos can be manipulated, and what they want to do is they want to be able to make a bid or get an estimate regarding this damage. Photographs are pictures in time, and they're small areas, and it's not the same as on the ground, hands on the material kind of evaluation. But the fact of the matter is giving these insurers an opportunity to inspect these loss sites is not difficult.
But it could take time because let's talk about what happened just back in '98. The spring of '98 was a hellacious time because of storm and hail damage that we had. I think they said over 500,000 homes in the Twin
hail
Cities.
Loss of '98.
I remember.
Yeah. And one of the things that was tough was getting an adjuster even out there to take a look at things, and people were chomping at the bit saying, come on, let's get going. And I know that there were probably a number of management companies that probably lost some contracts that year because there was nothing they could do, but they were looked at saying, hey, you guys are holding up this process.
Well, you got to educate those property owners and say to them, listen, number one, sometimes the need to do it quickly is solely a result of excellent salesmanship from the contractors, because a roof with some minor hail damage on it is likely still to be weatherproof and therefore satisfactory on the code. Under the policy of insurance, you're entitled to replacement of that roof, but the fact of the matter is it's more often the result of a contractor saying, we need to replace this. If you pay us now, we'll do it cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. So what people need to understand is, if I'm a manager and I have a homeowner coming to me, or homeowner board coming to me saying, we want this done now, what I'm going to do is educate them on the topic I just spoke about just now. Folks, if you destroy this evidence, then you will not have a claim. It may be unfair that we have to wait for them to evaluate it. It may not make us happy. But if you want my professional opinion as a property manager, I'm telling you, preserve your rights to recover the money for this claim by giving the insurer an opportunity to inspect. The losses in '98 were unusual. Your losses like Katrina, you're going to get weeks and weeks of wait for adjusters to come up. But the typical loss, if I write a letter to an insurer and I say, okay, insurer, we've got a loss on this site and we'd like to conduct a repair, they'll typically respond, well, we can be there on Tuesday or within a few days. And they'll often say, and by the way, you should mitigate damages by buttoning it up to the extent you can. But if they say, well, we can't come out for 3 months, then you use make a tactical decision. And here's how you do it. You say, we intend to go forward with repairing this property, and we intend to hold your insurance company liable for this loss. You have 10 days to come and inspect it, and make up the number, 10 days, 14 days, but make it long enough to give them a chance to do it. At least a week, certainly more.
Okay, a couple of days would not be prudent. I mean, so we're talking... Be reasonable.
You're giving them ammunition if you say, today is Wednesday, I'm starting work Friday morning.
Yeah. Tell me, Rob, do you think that the way I do in circumstances with rental property, often when I'm trying to decide what to do or what to ask for, I think, now how will I justify this when I'm standing in front of the judge?
Yeah, you have to make that justification, and hopefully you're not. But keep in mind, in large loss situations, the insurance company might agree to your number also. That's, again, the circumstance where you should go out and get the bid. Okay, I've gone out and received a bid, and I by the way, insurance company, I asked you to come. You haven't been out to adjust it, but here's a company that will fix it for these dollars. Will you agree to this number? And if the insurance company says, yes, we'll agree to that number, then who cares if they come out or not? They've cut you a check, you've got your property fixed, etc. But what you don't want to do is fix first, claim later.
Yeah.
And sometimes that will indeed happen where the adjuster will say, the contractor provided us these numbers, and they look good, go ahead. And part of that is for people who aren't involved with that industry, there has been a software program that I think is probably pretty universal.
There's Xactimate. There's Vex.
Yeah. And so it's really made the whole process a lot more
And what does the
uniform.
software do?
Well, it's a lot more uniform in terms of...
applies a square footage number to materials. If I have a cedar house, I can apply an Xactimate number to
come up with
footage.
a cost.
Yeah.
And then the interesting thing, too, is then it also allows for variables, too, because you're looking at different...
you're in New York City. The price is twice as much.
The cost for materials.
Or the difference between California and Alabama.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Yes. And so I knew of one insurance claim we had as an association. The difference the association received was about $67,000 more. And the difference was because we asked them, things were being repaired. We couldn't do things. The loss took place in November. We couldn't get things started until spring, so now it was May. We actually got going in August. And a number of quarters, a new year had taken place, and there was a new number for the cost of materials from fourth quarter 2008 to third quarter 2009, $67,000 more.
Right.
It makes a big difference.
Market conditions affect. I had an even worse circumstance in that where the loss was in the fall. They waited until the following July, and during that time period, manufacture of the materials ceased. So they existed at the time of the loss and stopped in June. And then we had to make the matching argument that following summer. And frankly, you'll encounter adjusters who are just kind people sometimes, and they cut us a break.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Would my choice of contractor make a difference to the insurance company in this circumstance where they can't get an adjuster out there in a timely manner? Are they more likely to grant my request if I use someone like Service Master than if I used a smaller construction company?
Sometimes, and that's when multiple bids can help you. I mean, if you go to an insurance repair company that the adjuster has used, they're more likely. Obviously, human nature is human nature. They're more likely to honor that bid than some company known to simply be extremely expensive. If I go to AAA luxury repair contractors and it's 5 times what an insurance contractor would be, you're more likely to have them say, we won't accept it.
Yeah,
That's who I want. Luxury repair contractor?
I don't think that contractor's in business very long with a name like that.
They only want the good Scotch.
Yeah,
Come out. That's
What is it Len Hubdy says about the quality versus the price?
Oh, yeah. Some contractors will say the service can't be better, but you sure can pay more.
It can only be so good, right?
Well, give us an example here. There was a story you told us I thought was a great example of this, preserving the evidence with the windows.
Yeah, this is a house I did an appraisal for down on the St. Croix River in Minnesota. It was in the town of Marine on the St. Croix. And this was a client of mine who was well off and had a historic home. And it was built on slab because it was about 60 yards away from the river. When the river overflowed, it put water about 3 feet of what's called black water, which is nothing you wanted to get into, in the house. And so what she did is she had the means to hire a company to come and put the house into a bunch of dumpsters and take it away. And then she called her insurance company and said, the house was flooded. I have flood insurance. I've had the home demoed and taken away. I want a check for $1 million or whatever the number is. And the insurance company said, well, what we wanted to do was evaluate whether or not the house was a total loss, because sometimes you can cut off drywall up 3 feet and put microbial disinfectant on the house, and maybe the house wasn't a total loss. And it was a classic scenario where I went into an appraisal because they agreed there was coverage. I went into an appraisal and argued the value of this loss was the total cost of replacement of the home. And the attorney, who they flew up from Washington, D.C., who is a rather intimidating guy, sat there and said, well, appraisal panel, if she hadn't torn the house down, we wouldn't be in this position. And luckily, my client brought these wonderful cookies to the appraisal. And for some reason, the panel went my way, and they didn't fight me. And luckily...
what was in those cookies?
No, it was just some chocolate chip cookies. And it shows you that... like I said, I don't bark orders at insurance adjusters.
Yeah.
I try to work with them.
Yeah.
It's only when the fight is on, when litigation is on, that's when the attack goes on. In this early stage, there's nothing wrong with trying to work with them, even if you disagree with them.
Well, as my folks said from the South, yes, when you get an attorney from another state, we don't like these outsiders.
Yeah, makes us suspicious.
This attorney was from Washington, D.C., and it really made me nervous, and because it was a loss of the type I had done day in and day out for years, and all of a sudden they fly someone in, and I thought,
you thought he was a ringer. Yeah.
Frankly, it wasn't that good.
Well, this person was really fortunate in her outcome. Then what
it sounds like it.
What I'm telling you is a story of where something occurred directly opposite of what my recommendation would be. If you have a loss, notify the insurance company. They can deny a claim for failure to timely report.
Yeah.
The most often circumstance occurs when people are doing remodeling on their home. And I'll get a call that says, we're doing remodeling on our home, and the contractor has found that all the walls are rotten, or there's a major loss here, etc. But he wants to keep working. He's on schedule, so he wants to keep working, so we want to keep going. In that circumstance, I'm going to do everything I can to bang the phones until I can get an adjuster out there to look at it, because it's those circumstances when the house is torn open and they've just discovered a loss that they really don't want to stop working.
Yeah.